chant the sound of Om, be aware of your sound emanating from the throat, travelling through the sinuses, moving up to the forehead. Notice how your inhalation and diaphragm move the sound. Chanting 3 times together with your own personal focus. Slowly inhaling. An intention of harmony and protection of the group. You may be knowing this. It is a Shanti mantra from the Upanishads. Om Sahana Bhavatu. Om Sahana Bhavatu. Sahana for being here this evening. Be aware of the picture you have in your mind around this. And then come back to your body as you are seated on the floor now. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Namaste. Thank you all so much for choosing to be here tonight for Swami Muktibodhananda Saraswati's public talk here in Squamish. First time we've done a talk in Squamish, so we're really thrilled to be here, and thank you so much, Anya, for hosting us in your space.
My absolute pleasure.
The title of the talk is Yoga of the Inner Hidden Things, and you'll learn more about that in a moment. My name is Erica Pinsky. I am a member of the Sangha, and I have the honor to be the team lead to organize these retreats, which is proving to be a challenging task, I realize, as we unpack the books, and the seminal book of Swami Mukti didn't make it, because I guess I'm in overload. So, I'm into surrender in my practice. So this is the perfect opportunity to just surrender to this confusion that I'm experiencing.
It's on Amazon.
There's always a solution.
So it's my pleasure to introduce Swami Muktibodhananda tonight and to tell you all a little bit about her. In Swami Mukti's previous life, she was Gabrielle Grace, born in Melbourne, Australia. She had an early calling to yoga at the age of 12. At 17, she left for India to spend 10 years at the feet of her mentor and guru, Paramhansa Swami Satyananda Saraswati, a direct disciple of Swami Shivananda of Rishikesh. Gabrielle was initiated into the Saraswati order of Sannyasa renunciation, dedicating her life to the teaching and practice of all aspects of yoga. Since 1977, she is known as Swami Muktibodhananda Saraswati. Swamiji was given the title Yogacharya, Yoga Authority, from Paramahansa Swami Niranjan Ananda in 1993. Swami Muktibodhananda was inspired to distill the yogic knowledge and experiences she gained in India into 3 extraordinary books. Her first book, Shala Yoga, the Tantric Science of Brain Breathing, is suitable for anyone interested in understanding the subtleties of what it means to breathe in the right, left, and both nostrils in relation to the environment. And that one is here tonight. We just got it in from India. Her second publication, Hatha Yoga Pradikipa, Light on Hatha Yoga, consists of a thorough commentary on each Sanskrit verse with English translation. It is the most widely used modern English version of the original 15th century Hatha Yoga Pradikipa, written by Yogi Swatam Rama, considered as the yoga Bible of this science. Swamiji's third book, Energy, the Spark of Life and Universal Goddess, is an eminently practical guide to the sometimes mystifying and esoteric practices of yoga. Please help me welcome Swami Muktibodhananda Saraswati.
So here's a good example of the yoga of hidden things. Because of the situation at the moment out in the universe, are experiencing miscommunications. So any astrologers here this evening? Are you aware that it's a Mercury retrograde time? Yes, so Mercury is about communication, miscommunications. It's been happening for a little while. It actually happens 4 times a year. It's good to Google it and find out before you make any plans. Yeah. So, miscommunications between people, but even with ourselves, we can miscommunicate with ourselves. And this in itself is yoga of the hidden things, because the heart might be saying one thing, the mind is saying another, the ego is saying another, and the intellect is saying another. Getting all 4 coordinated and streamlined is challenging. And so the yoga of the hidden things is about our inner drives and what is driving us internally, and do we see what that is? Do we know what that is? At the beginning we did an intention, and this intention was the Shaktipat that we chanted, and then I suggested you think about your intention for being here this evening. This is where yoga starts, acknowledging what our intentions are. So we wake up in the morning, and first intention's probably to go to the washroom. But after that, thinking about the day. And sometimes we think, oh no, I've got to do this and I've got to do that. A lot of got tos, yeah? A lot of have tos. But what is your intention within that? So yes, you might have to get the kids to school, or you might have to go to work, or you might have to do both. But how do you want to express that? Yeah? This is what we need to be thinking about, because this is also yoga. How do we express ourselves in the world? It's not separate to the yoga practice that you do here. We talk about yoga off the mat these days, taking yoga off the mat. But what does that mean to us individually? It's about awareness. It's about knowing what it is that we want, what we intend. And sometimes we think with what we want, oh, I'm not allowed to do that, or I shouldn't do that, or I can't have that. Where is that drive coming from, that you want that, whatever that is? And so looking at these subtleties in our life is important. In yoga, we say that there are various drives. 4 main drives of every human being is firstly to experience and achieve sensual experience in the world. Yeah? Sensual experience. We want to experience through our senses. So as an example of what I'm talking about, there was a program I watched many years ago, and the program was about people who had enhanced their senses. There was one man who only saw in black and white. He didn't see in colour. In order to experience colour, he had an antenna put into his brain. It came out of his skull. And through that, he could feel colour. Rather than seeing in black and white, he could sense colour. I had a student once who had grown up seeing but gone blind later in life, and he could feel colour with his hands. He could feel the vibration of the colour. And it was always accurate. He knew that vibration. So the sensory experience of colour was very important and is important to us as human beings. Experiencing through all the senses, smell, taste, vision, feeling through the skin, hearing. Have I missed something out?
Taste.
Yeah, I think I said taste and nose. Smell, taste, feeling through the skin, touch, vision, hearing, 5 senses. There are other senses, but I'm talking about sensorial experience through the senses. It's very important to have those experiences. The human being seeks those experiences out. And so this is unconsciously driving us as well. We may not be thinking about it, but it drives us to have those experiences. If we don't have those experiences, then we will do things. As an example, when I lived in the ashram, the sensory experience of taste was limited. So we very rarely had sweets. And once a year we'd have a poor feeding where poor people would come into the ashram and we would feed the poor people. And we would feed them in metal buckets. Yeah, in India, you still do. You eat off plates when you go to these very large gatherings. Has anyone been to a large gathering in India? Yeah, so you eat off leaf plates that are held together with a toothpick. And so you're served from these big buckets. So we would feed the most common sweet's called bundi. It's a small round sweet that's been deep fried. Usually it's besan flour, and then it's soaked in sugar syrup. So it's really sweet. I mean, in general, Indian sweets are sweet, aren't they? Then what we would do, whatever was remaining in the bucket, we'd go behind a building and we'd eat and eat and eat and eat. And then the next day there was so much food left over that we had it for breakfast, lunch and dinner, and we were totally over it. Until the next year. You know, when you're deprived of your sensory experience, then the body craves it, the mind craves it. Yeah? Both the body and the mind crave these experiences. And so we seek them out in different ways. I love to see the ocean. If I haven't seen the ocean for a while, I feel deprived. And you'll be thinking of the thing that you love to see. Some people need to see art. And I was just talking about my 22-year-old son who's at home, and he leaves art installations in his room. His art installations are clothes piles. So they're not the type of, excuse me, art installations I crave to see. But we all crave to see different types of external events or places or people. Yeah? And it's to feel connection. It's to feel connection with your environment. It's to feel ultimately connection with yourself, because you have an emotional response to that. And so the senses are driving us to have these experiences. The word in Sanskrit for this need is karma. K-A-M-A, long A sound, karma. Not karma, meaning action, but karma. You know the book Kama Sutras, everyone knows Kama Sutras. That's one aspect of sensual experience. In general, karma means all sensory experiences. And we are driven to experience this. Artha means commodities. We are driven to have commodities. Yeah, when we were hunter-gatherers, our commodities were maybe flint, maybe arrows, maybe something sharp for cutting. You know, we might have had a little bag. The Australian First Nation people made little bags called dilly bags. So the women would carry the dilly bags, with food in the dilly bags, and maybe some skins with water. So these are commodities. And maybe some jewellery. People would make their own jewellery, collect shells or feathers, yeah, and adorn the body. These are commodities. It's what the human being does. And so in the modern day, we have so many of these sensory experiences and we have so many commodities. So what happens is often we overdo it. Yeah? Because the drive is just driving us to do it more and more and more. So what we learn in yoga is to step back from ourselves and observe. And one day we realise I have too many commodities, and we do a spring clean. You know, if you've been living in one place for a long time, you go to move, and you see how much you've got, and you go, oh, this is a big job. So, having what we need through the practice of yoga, we learn that there are certain ways of being, certain behaviours that from a yogic point of view are useful to cultivate. We call it yama and niyama. You've probably heard of yama and niyama. Yeah? And so we cultivate, one of the cultivations is austerity. But what does austerity mean? It means having less. It doesn't mean, in terms of yoga, it doesn't mean to be harsh on yourself. It just means to have less. My teacher used to say, if you've got 3 dhotis and you see the other person, dhotis are the sarongs you wear. If you've got 3 dhotis and you see the other person has 4 dhotis, 4 sarongs, then aim to have 2. Yeah? Because then you've got one to wear and one to wash and hang on the line, and it will dry very quickly. Weather's like this, it dries quickly. Because we hang things on the clothesline. In India, you put things on the ground too, for drying. So this word tapasya, austerity, is about living simply. Yeah? So we might have some commodities without overdoing it. So we curb these hidden drives. Even the sensory experiences, we curb them. rather than binge watching Netflix. Is there anyone who hasn't binge watched Netflix?
Grey line.
Grey line?
I just finished a series.
I just finished a series.
Yeah.
I tell you, if you want to binge watch something, there's The Life of Buddha. It's in Hindi, it's got subtitles. You've seen it? Isn't it beautiful? That is addictive. Yeah. It's lovely. And it's uplifting at the same time. So curbing these desires, bringing in tapasya, yoga gives us tools where we can still have an expression, but in harmony, within balance. Yeah. The third unseen drive is called dharma. Dharma means the path that is right for you. What is your right path? What is my right path? Highly likely they're different. And finding your right path can be challenging. And it might change. You might start down a path and you realize that actually you're not feeling it in your heart anymore. You're feeling something else. So then you change your path. It doesn't mean that you're not one-pointed. It's just that you found that the dharma you had at that particular time has now changed. So for example, the dharma of a child is different to the dharma of a teenager, different to the dharma of a young adult, so on and so forth. We have different dharmas and at different stages of our life. In India, they used to have 4 main ashrams. The first ashram was pre-marriage, it's called Brahmachari ashram, where you're single. And during this phase, you are educated. And then in the next phase, Grihast ashram, is when you get married and have children. And so this is the dharma then. This is the dharma of a human being. And after, it went in 25-year segments. And after 50, then you and husband would retire in the forest and live there together for the next 25 years. And if you were still alive at 75, husband and wife separated and you took to the life of renunciation. So there were no social obligations, you didn't have to look after grandchildren, and you just wandered, and people gave you food and clothing, and you would share some spiritual realizations with the community. So in this way, the life was structured to assist people in fulfilling their needs and their desires through the 4 stages of life. Yeah. And so that was following your dharma. It doesn't necessarily happen that way these days, whether it's in India or any other country. But the life was structured to assist in fulfilling an individual's needs. Dharma. We think of it as duty. Yeah? Is that your interpretation of the word? Duty? D-H-A-R-M-A. Duty. Dharma can also mean a religious path, I understand that. In this case, it's talking about your personal path that's right for you. And it needs to be felt from within. There needs to be a passion for what it is you are doing. Then you know this is your dharma. A healthy passion. Yeah. But not everyone finds that. You know, my oldest son started doing engineering, and in second year of engineering, he realised he was doing it because his friends are doing it. And and he just wanted to be with his friends. And then he started to feel depressed because he didn't know what his passion was. He said, I enjoy engineering, but it's not my passion. And he still doesn't feel passionate about it, but he's finishing it off. He enjoys it, but he doesn't feel a passion. And that happens in life. We go down a specific path. It's like treading water, yeah? You're just, I don't want to say making do, but you're just going through the process because you haven't found your passion. We each need to find our passion. I found mine very early, but I realised this is not necessarily the case for everyone. Yeah. And I can see that when you don't have that passion, then there is some energy missing. Yeah? There's some enthusiasm missing. Finding the dharma can take time. Finding your path might take you all your life. There are so many choices these days. There are so many things that we can do. And when we step into the world, we are going on this hero's journey. I don't know if you have seen the movie Finding Joe. Yeah? So Joseph Campbell talks about this hero's journey. And you start at a particular point. And you start on a particular road, whatever your path is. And then there are demons to slay and dragons to slay. There's a process, isn't there? We've all been facing this in our life. And we keep going, we learn, we empower ourselves. We find the treasure, it might be knowledge. We might even lose it. We come back to where we started and we have a knowledge. We may not have something physical. We may not have a piece of paper saying we've achieved whatever, but we have that knowledge within. So this is the hero's journey that we all embark on the minute we're born. The journey's never finished. And so, finding your dharma, walking the path of your dharma, is a path of that hero's journey. It's about realising those hidden things within yourself. We see that the dragons are external, and then we realise through yoga, meditation, a process like that, that those dragons are actually within us. It's not the external. We have to come to terms with fears, phobias, anxieties, dislikes, hatreds, all those gamut of emotions within us before we can continue on our hero's journey. So we see it externally, we react to it externally, but it's in here, within us. And because we don't want to face that, we blame the external situation. We blame the person, you made me feel. Yeah? The external situation has triggered something within us. And because we don't know what else to do, we hang on to that reaction. But when we see ourselves, when we're observant, we say, yes, I reacted like that, and how do I actually want to be? I have a choice here. I can hang on to how I was feeling, because that's a known quantity and I'm used to doing that. And it's easy to blame the external situation or person. But by meditating on that situation, you see it's something within yourself and you ask, what else can I do? Because you realise you want something else. You don't want to feel whatever that reaction is. You actually want to feel something else. So if you want to feel something positive, if you want to be proactive, then what can I do? Our brains are very clever. Sometimes I think, this is amazing. There's this piece of jelly here, an electrical piece of jelly, and it comes up with all these amazing ideas, amazing experiences, amazing revelations. Fascinating. Where does it all come from? A piece of jelly. For me, I can't believe that. And so, in your process of finding what your dharma is, sometimes you realize that what you are seeking is actually the fourth driving force. And not everyone wants this. The fourth driving force is that of, in Sanskrit the word is moksha. Moksha means liberation. In India, in ancient times and today, when you say moksha, people think of achieving a transcendental state, as Buddha did in nirvana. But for me, the moksha is happening in increments when we realize something about ourselves. When we realize something about ourselves in relation to a situation or a person or people, and we have clarity in our mind about whatever that is. To me, that is a form of moksha, because it liberates you internally. You realize you don't have to keep doing the same old, that there is another choice. To me, that is moksha, another way of being. What that means to me, what that means to you might be very different. But to realise that you have a choice, that's not going to be different. You know, people say, oh, I had no other choice. The fact of the matter is there was probably two choices and you didn't like either of them. But you went with the one you felt more comfortable with or more used to doing. Yeah? I have a friend who's a counsellor in the middle of Australia where it's basically it's desert and it's a very hard life, and the indigenous people there have a hard time. For all similar reasons that you will be experiencing here. And so there was one particular lady who'd been held at gunpoint, and she survived that situation, and my friend was counselling her. And my friend said, well, you made the choice to live. And the lady said, what other choice did I have? She said, you could have laid down and died. See what I mean about choice? Yeah. So either way, we might be challenged. It doesn't have to be that sort of situation. Either way, when we make our choices in life, we may well be challenged, but to realise we are making these choices. We might have a reaction in an instance, and we acknowledge that we've reacted, but after that, what are we going to do? Are we going to stay in the reaction, or are we going to move forward and be proactive in a way that's self-empowering? So this is yoga of the hidden things. It's yoga in our daily life. In fact, I think that's a brand of yoga, isn't it? Yoga in daily life.
Yes. Muktibodhananda.
Thank you. It is. Yoga of the hidden things is yoga in your daily life. So this fourth drive in the human being, moksha, liberation. Liberation from what? I talk about liberation from the ego. The ego is always wanting to control us. because then it exists. Yeah? So you're sitting in meditation and thoughts start to arise. The ego attaches itself to those, there'll be memories. It might be creative thoughts, but it's built on a memory. The mind exists because of memory. If we don't have memories, well, people with dementia find it hard to exist because they don't have memories. The mind operates on memories. Sitting in meditation, whether it's a creative thought based on a memory or whether it is a memory in itself, the ego latches onto that to take you away from your meditation, because then the ego is in control and it feels powerful. In yoga, we learn to separate and witness and observe these events and just stay still and quiet in ourselves. We create some distance between the thoughts, between the ego and our inner self. And the more that we do that, the more moksha, the more liberation we create. Because within that space, we realise we have more opportunities. When I first went to India, in my meditation, all I could think about was fabric, design and fabric, and what I was going to make out of that. Because before I went to India, I used to like that. Yeah? I'd see a fabric in the shop and think, oh, that'd be nice as, and I'd design it in my head. So I get to India, there's no more fabric, there's no more dressmaking, and for 2 years, that's all my mind thought about. And I was watching and watching and watching until the mind exhausted itself, until I was more able to create more space. And that was very liberating. I don't have those thoughts now. There is a process of Kashmiri Shaivism where you sit and watch the space after the thought. Yeah? So you've had a thought, period. Mind is observing the space, the gap. You're not focusing on the thought, you're looking for the gap. The more you look for the gap, the more gap you get. But the more you look at the thoughts, the more thoughts you get. Or if you try to ignore the thoughts, they come back with a vengeance. Yeah? As we progress in meditation, the ego starts to lose its control of you. So then it will produce a big scenario. It will rebel. Just as it does in life. You know, life's going smoothly, and then all of a sudden there's a big incident. The ego gets your attention. It likes to be the driver. And I don't know about you, but I don't like anyone in the car telling me how to drive when I'm driving. Nothing more annoying. But the ego does that with us all the time, all our life. Yeah. And we don't realise it. This is yoga of the hidden things. When you're observing this and seeing what the ego is doing, doesn't mean you can necessarily control it. Yeah? Because sometimes the situations are too emotional. So we just need to give ourselves space for that process to settle. If there's a death in the family and we're grieving, ultimately we're grieving our loss because that person is no longer with us. You see, again, it's the ego. But we need to give the mind time to come to terms with that. It's not that we say, oh, ego, you shouldn't be feeling that. The mind needs that time to process. But just to understand that we're actually grieving our own personal loss. because we can't interact with that person anymore. I remember being angry with my grandmother for dying. I was angry for 10 years. Yeah. There was a level of anger. I'd go places and I'd think, oh, she'd really like this, and I'd feel angry she wasn't there to enjoy it with me. Yeah? You might have experienced the same over loss. It might have been a partner, it could be anyone in your life. And so acknowledging and observing that this is the way it is, it starts with acceptance. Finding the capacity to accept the process. That we are human, this is what the mind does. There's been points in my life where I've said, all my yoga's gone out the window. We get tired, life gets stressful, we get caught in the moment. But I've observed that within myself and I've voiced it, I've said it out loud. I said, oh, all my yoga's gone out the window. When I came back from India, I had to learn to drive. So I had many driving lessons, a lot of practice, nothing wrong with my driving. When I went for my driving test, my driving teacher, at that time in Australia, your driving teacher would actually go with you and sit in the passenger seat, and the the tester would be sitting behind. So my driving instructor said to me, oh, you've got Charlie the assassin. Charlie the assassin got in the back seat. He took up the whole back seat. He didn't talk to me once except to go left, go right, park. He was constantly talking to my instructor, and I actually felt intimidated. And I said, that was one of those times where I didn't say it out loud. I said, oh, my yoga's gone out the window. Because what happened there, the brainstem kicked in, fight, flight, freeze. So if you think of this as my central nervous system and this the reptilian part of the brain, fight, flight, freeze part of the brain, wrapped around that is the emotional brain, the mammalian brain. That's the area that it kicked in. My neocortex here, totally disconnected. And I went into freeze. If I'd been in fight or flight, I think I could have actually done something. I went into freeze. Yeah. I tried to do that slow breath you just did then. But I realised I'm just going to live through this experience. Yeah. I just accepted it. And what had happened was, in the morning, I applied my Swara Yoga. So here's another yoga of the subtle things. In Swara Yoga, we look at which swara is flowing. So if you put your fingers close to your nose, breathe out with a little bit of force, and feel if the breath is stronger right nostril, left nostril, or even in both nostrils. Can you feel left nostril? Right nostril? And not sure even? Maybe left, maybe right? Yeah, okay. Anyone got a blocked nose? These are the 4 options. Do you have some water?
Yeah, I was just thinking
Thank
about
you.
getting some tea.
Yeah.
Do you want tea or water?
No, just water will do, thanks. So, I woke up in the morning and I checked my swara. Now, there's a system to the swara where you need to have a moon calendar. You need to know at sunrise which date of the moon it is. And so when we are experiencing the bright fortnight, which is when the moon is waxing, on the first day, after the day where there's no moon, on the first day of the bright fortnight, waxing moon, then your left swara flows at sunrise. So you need to know, thank you, the sunrise time for where you are. And as an example, first day after absolutely no moon, left nostril flowing at sunrise. If this is on a Monday, because moon, Monday, is to do with the left nostril and more passive, doing more passive types of activities. If you wake up left nostril flowing on a Monday, this is a good sign. If you wake up at sunrise, right nostril flowing on a Monday, not such a good sign. It means your body's biorhythm is a little bit out of harmony. You're not in harmony with your environment. So I woke up, checked my swara, wrong swara for the day. And I thought, doesn't matter, nothing wrong with my driving. And there wasn't anything wrong with my driving until I got Charlie the Assassin. Yeah. So all my yoga went out the window, and I didn't get my license that time. The second time, exactly the same thing happened, and I said, I understand in Swara Yoga, this is the way it is, but definitely there's really nothing wrong with my driving. And there was some other incident. Anyway, third time lucky, and Swara was correct, everything went smoothly. Yoga of the hidden things. Because while I had an intention, so did the other people around me. Yeah? Everyone's got their own intention. And sometimes our intentions collide. And sometimes we are a little bit out of sync, let's say. We're out of sync. You know those days you wake up sometimes and you're just not feeling yourself? Yeah? So even without feeling the swara, you can feel, maybe you're feeling a little bit flat, you can feel something's going on in the body. Or maybe the day started well and you've eaten something that doesn't suit you and you start to go, oh, I shouldn't have eaten that. Yeah? And then you feel out of sync. That creates an energy within you. That creates a certain energy. And we emanate energy. We are energy beings. We might look physical, but we are energy beings. We're electromagnetic energy beings. And when we live in harmony with the Earth's electromagnetic field and all the other electromagnetic fields, then everything goes smoothly. But if we're a little bit out of sync, then we have collisions. Yeah? With other people's energies or with the energies in the environment. Excuse me. And so I think it's really important to pay attention to that. So it's not just about eating well, it's also about how do we use, our technology. Do we sleep with it on right next to us? With all those Wi-Fis going through us. I mean, everything's now Wi-Fi everywhere we go. And so how do we keep ourselves in harmony with the Earth's electromagnetic field? We need to do certain things like walk with bare feet on the earth for a period of time, or if you can't do that, then there are earthing sheets, grounding sheets you can sleep on. You work at the computer, you can buy these grounding mats that plug into the earth point. So you see here how it's got the third round point there. There's a wire there connecting to the fuse box. What do you call a fuse box? Fuse box. Fantastic. I just come from US and they call it something else. So anyway, that round point there connects to a copper wire in your fuse box that goes into the earth. So these earthing sheets or earthing mats connecting to that, only that. So when you put your feet on them, you are earthed. I've met one or two people say it didn't fully work for them for some reason, but generally people find this helps to feel more grounded when you're around technology all the time. You work at a computer a lot. I know they have these new screens but there's still the Wi-Fi in the air. And it affects us. We pick up the phone, we talk on the phone, and it does affect us. Yeah? And it's only going to increase. So how do we create moksha from that, liberation from that? These are the things that we look at. How are we going to achieve our personal freedom in the activities that we do in life? So maybe it is when you go out to eat a meal that you eat vegan, because this suits, not necessarily because you are vegan, but it gives you a freedom from not eating foods that are going to be harmful to you. Yeah? You can make a list of all the things that give you your personal freedom. Because this is a part of the yoga path. How do we attain moksha? The other things we're going to do anyway. But the moksha aspect needs to be thought about consciously. And gradually, as we do these activities, when we sit for meditation, it assists us in transcending our limitations. Moksha infers liberation from the things that hold us back. It infers liberation from negative tendencies that prevent the moksha in our meditation. Yoga Nidra I find is a very important practice in this process. Does everyone know Yoga Nidra? So not everyone knows Yoga Nidra. I'll put it this way, who doesn't know Yoga Nidra? A couple of people not know. Okay, let me explain Yoga Nidra, because we will do a Yoga Nidra. Yes.
That's what I thought
I'm a Yoga Nidra Swami. I think it's the panacea for the modern world. Even if you live in nature, you still need Yoga Nidra. So Yoga Nidra is the first stage of meditation where we lie down generally, but you can do it sitting. And why we lie down is so that we can fully relax. Now, when we sit, we can't fully relax. The back has to be upright. When we sit upright and we relax, we might fall asleep, especially at this time of day. Now, if you fall asleep, you can understand what's going to happen. In Yoga Nidra, if you fall asleep lying down, you've got nowhere else to fall. So it's safe. Yeah? And you can fully relax. In Yoga Nidra, you go through stages of meditation. And the first stage of meditation is sense withdrawal. So withdrawing the senses from the world, coming into your experience of the senses within yourself. What do I mean by that? Say, for example, anytime you hear a sound, say you hear a car siren or maybe an ambulance siren, the mind goes out to the sound, doesn't it? And you're thinking, what's happened? I wonder who's going to be in that ambulance. So the mind goes out to the sound. If you walk past a restaurant when they're cooking food and you immediately smell the smells of food, your mind goes into the restaurant, you think, I wonder what the meal is and what they're cooking. Maybe even the visual cortex starts putting pictures in your mind. Do you see? When you experience through your senses, the mind goes out into whatever you're experiencing. In Yoga Nidra, you bring your awareness of the senses into you so that you realize that when you have a sensory experience, It's just information. Everything is information. So as an example, say you're talking with someone and the person becomes angry. It's just information. Something's not right in their life. Something hasn't matched in the external world and their internal pictures in their mind. So they've had a reaction, they've got angry. So my mind went out to that sound and I instantly think certain thoughts about who that was. Yeah? This is what happens, it's immediate. But in Yoga Nidra you realise it's information. It's just information. I'm centred, I'm in myself. And when we gain that experience, it assists us in the world. When the information's coming at us, we realise it's information. Sometimes we're in information overload, that happens too. But once again, it gives us a little bit more time, because in Yoga Nidra we learn to observe. We observe ourselves. We observe our reactions. And then we can make different choices. The other thing that happens in Yoga Nidra is that you relax. So you're aware of the senses, you're relaxing, and as you do that, the sensory connection starts to disconnect. The last sense to withdraw is hearing. So you know when you go to sleep at night, you relax, and gradually you fall asleep. Hearing is the last sense to withdraw. In Yoga Nidra, you're still hearing. Even if you fall asleep, you will still be hearing, and your mind will still be practicing. So when I first learned Yoga Nidra, my teacher said, do not sleep, no sleeping. I actually don't say that because I realise now in the modern day, and I'm going back 40 years, I realise in the modern day that we need the power nap. So this evening when I take you through Yoga Nidra, if you fall asleep, not to worry about it. You will wake up. You'll wake up either because you've heard the instruction or because you've heard people moving, or you'll hear the harmonium because we'll chant on when we're finished. It's only happened to me twice in all the time I've been teaching Yoga Nidra, since 1978. So that's many years. What are we now? It's 40 years, 41 years I've been teaching Yoga Nidra. And in all that time, 2 people have fallen asleep and didn't wake up. So maybe you'll be the 3rd. You'll get a tap on your shoulder by Tanya, she's got to lock up. Yeah. So we lie on our back if possible. There's bolsters if you need under your knee. We use some soft surface under the back of the head because the back of the head can become tender. You're going to lie down with your head towards me, and you need a little bit of space with your arms at your sides. If you're pregnant, please don't lie on your back. If you've got a back problem and you're not comfortable on your back, lie however you are comfortable. So the lower back needs to feel easy when you lie down. Be aware if you need a bolster under your knees. Back of the head comfortable. Feet a little bit apart and arms away from your sides. comfortable to have the palms up, just do what is comfortable for your arms and shoulders. So we take a minute or two to find our comfortable position. Also be aware of where your water bottle is. While we try to lie comfortably, sometimes you do need to move, and if your water bottle's in the way, you'll knock it over. You're lying for approximately 30 minutes. So as you're preparing your position, when you feel that you are comfortable, lift the chest, draw the shoulder blades closer and relax down again. Upper lower teeth slightly separated and the tongue resting behind the lower teeth. During the practice of Yoga Nidra, we aim to lie still and motionless. We aim to develop body stillness. I'm sorry to move you, but the light's in the middle there. Yeah. No, should be all right. We lie with the eyes closed. If for any reason you feel you need to open your eyes, do that, and then close them again when you're ready. As you relax and develop stillness of body, sometimes you have experiences you may not be used to. All experiences are normal in Yoga Nidra. If you feel at any stage that you're lifting up out of your body, remember the breath. When we have these experiences, sometimes we feel frightened, we don't know how we're going to get back to the body. The body is breathing, the body likes to breathe. If an emotion comes up, remember the breath. Slow the breath down. Breath is the link between mind and body. When we control the breath, we control our fears, we control the brain stem. Feel the breath now, and as you exhale, let the body melt into the floor. Letting go of physical resistance. As you know, the floor supports you. Feel supported. And be aware of the right arm. Fingers to the shoulder relaxing. Whole right arm. And the left arm relaxing, fingers to the shoulder, letting go. Both of the arms relaxing. Right leg, hip to the toes, relaxing. Left leg, hip to the toes relaxing. Both of the legs relaxing. All the limbs simultaneously relaxing. Torso front relaxing. Torso back relaxing. Inner organs relaxing. Whole torso relaxing. Torso and limbs relaxing. Throat and neck relaxing. Head and face relaxing. Whole body from the top of the head to the tips of the toes relaxing. Feel the relaxation and that the mind is present. Use my voice as an anchor to keep you present when the mind starts wandering. Be the observer where part of the mind steps back and watches objectively thoughts, sensations, experiences, or simply be aware. Know what you are experiencing and be in the present moment with that experience. Set the intention to be present, mentally repeating, I remain awake and aware throughout the practice of Yoga Nidra. I remain awake and aware throughout the practice of Yoga Nidra. Now become aware of your sense of smell. With each inhalation, as you breathe the air in, you are smelling chemicals in the air. Maybe there is no obvious smell. Nonetheless, this process is still occurring. In deep states of meditation, the smell of sandalwood arises. Imagine now what that smell would be. Sandalwood. And bring your awareness to the sense of taste and the flavour in your mouth. Maybe there is an obvious flavour or not. In deep states of meditation, a sweet flavour arises, like a honey flavour. Imagine this flavour. Bring your awareness now to vision with your eyes closed. As you can still see, be aware of what it is you do see. In meditation, different visions arise within the mind itself. Some are pleasant, some are unpleasant. We learn to observe all these experiences. Bring your awareness now to sensation. Sensation of air touching skin, clothing touching skin, body pressing the floor, any other sensation you may feel. In meditation, subtle sensations unfold within the body. Some may feel uncomfortable, some blissful. Now become aware of your sense of hearing. Hearing sounds from different places and distances. Sound information coming to your ears. Mind perceiving sounds. Stay centered in yourself as you experience sound information. In deep meditation, internal sounds can be heard, maybe music, sounds of waves crashing on the shore, bees humming. Different sounds arise within the mind itself. Learn to observe these experiences. Part of the mind stepping back, witnessing. Think of yourself now like a satellite looking down on the body, or being behind your head, looking down on the body. Body still, motionless. Breath moving effortlessly. Alert and quiet. Be in each present moment as the moment arises. Still in yourself. Bring the mind to the heart space behind the sternum. And think of the core of your being as an etheric, steady flame behind the sternum, protected in a cave. And from this center of your being, be aware of anything external. Information coming to you. Lay this awareness and think of your inner personal goal that you are currently working towards achieving. It's a personal goal that relates to modifying something within yourself in order to express your authenticity. Maybe changing a perception in order to be your authentic self in the world. If you know what this inner personal goal looks like, see the picture in your mind. Feel that this is achievable, and know how much value you put on achieving this, feeling behind the sternum and knowing how much you value achieving this goal. If you have a statement about your goal, a short positively worded statement, repeat it mentally 3 times. Now bring the mind to body parts as I name areas. Feel the part, acknowledge it, and mentally repeat the part's name after me like an echo in the mind. Starting on the right, awareness of the thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpit, waist, hip, buttock, thigh, knee, lower leg, ankle, heel, instep, ball of the foot, big toe, second toe, third, fourth, little toe, top of the foot, whole right side of the body. Shifting the awareness to the left, thumb, index finger, middle finger, ring finger, little finger, palm of the hand, back of the hand, wrist, forearm, elbow, upper arm, shoulder, armpit, waist, hip, buttock, thigh, knee, lower leg, ankle, heel, instep, ball of the foot, big toe, second toe, third, fourth toe, little toe, top of the foot, whole left side of the body, the whole left side of the body. Both sides of the body, left and right. In the center, the spinal column, from the tailbone to the neck. Whole spinal column. Awareness of whole limbs diagonally. Right arm, left leg. Left arm, right leg. Left leg, right arm. Right leg, left arm, all the limbs, limbs and torso, back of the neck, back of the head, top of the head, forehead, right eyebrow, left eyebrow, eyebrow center, whole right eye, eyelids touching, whole left eye, eyelids touching, both of the eyes, right temple, ear, cheek, left temple, ear, cheek, nose, bridge of the nose, tip of the nose, right nostril, left nostril, the two nostrils, skin below the nose, upper lip, lower lip, lips touching, upper gums and teeth, lower gums and teeth, tongue from tip to root, lower jaw, chin, throat, collarbones, chest, abdomen, lower back, middle of the back, upper back, between the shoulder blades, inner body, heart, circulation, diaphragm, lungs, digestive system, urinary system, reproductive system, muscles throughout the body, connective tissue, bones, bone marrow, skin, whole physical body. Be aware of the breath in the nostrils. And as you breathe in, imagine the air flowing up the nostrils to the brow middle. As you exhale, down from the brow middle, out through the nostrils. Breath flowing up and down in an inverted V formation. And mentally counting 9 breaths, starting at the count of 9. Breathing up 9, breathing down 9. Continue backwards to 1. Leave the breath awareness. Come to weight of body. Imagine the body very heavy on the floor. Body sinking deep into the floor. Leave heaviness and think of the opposite experience. Body light, floating and weightless. Arouse weightlessness of body. Leave that experience and come to temperature. Be aware of the temperature in the palms of the hands and soles of the feet. Arouse the feeling of cold in the palms and soles. Feeling cold in the palms and soles. Leave cold and think of heat in the palms and soles. Arousing heat in the palms and soles. Leave temperature. Know that you are looking into the back of the eyelids and you can still see. And then think of vision in the mind itself, creating the idea of a room in the head where the floor is level with the bridge of the nose, wall on the right by the right temple, wall at the back of the head, wall at the left by the left temple. Crown of the head is the ceiling. And the wall behind the forehead is like a movie theatre screen. And in this movie theatre screen, see the image of a golden yellow square. Leave the golden yellow square, create a white crescent moon. Leave the crescent moon, see an inverted red triangle. Leave the triangle, see a pale blue hexagon, six-sided shape, pale blue in colour. Leave that image, see a sphere containing all colours imaginable. Maybe it appears black. Leave this imagery. See yourself now working towards your current personal goal. Be aware of the things that you do in order to achieve this goal. See yourself achieving this goal. Know how it feels to achieve the goal. The feeling in the body as well as the emotions. See what you are doing now that you have achieved this goal. If you have a statement about your goal, repeat it mentally 3 times, knowing it is achievable. Come back to the awareness of your body lying on the floor in the room. Have a mental image of where you are. Know that the practice of Yoga Nidra is drawing to a close. Externalize to the sounds of the environment. With full body awareness, take a slow breath in and out. Beginning to move fingers, toes, swallowing, stretching. To mobilize the lower back, bring the knees to the chest, hold the legs and maybe you do side to side rocking, or maybe you roll the legs around in the same direction. And reverse the direction. When you are ready to sit, have the feet on the floor, roll right. And as you're ready, coming into a sitting position. Chant Om and Om Shanti, peace. When you're seated comfortably, with the eyes closed, imagine breathing in and out through the brow middle. And think of your sound emanating out from this point. Slowly breathe into the brow middle. Centeredness behind the sternum, and just during the experience with the hands in prayer position, pranama mudra, carrying the inner feeling with you. Hari Om Tat Sat.
Thank you all again so much.